This is a significant question because one of the distinctives of biblical counseling is that we want to see people grow and change so that they are dependent upon the Lord primarily. I often tell my counselees that I see it as my job to work myself out of a job. When people come in for counseling, they are either stuck in sin or struggling in some way that their advancement in discipleship has been slowed or completely stopped. Biblical counseling helps that person to address a specific issue of sin or struggle so that they can get back into the regular streams of discipleship within the church. When it comes to concluding a counseling case, there are generally two reasons why counseling would come to an end. The first reason is that by God's grace, the counselee has achieved a certain level of proficiency in biblically handling the initial problem. They understand what the scripture says about their struggle. They have faithfully completed the homework, and they consistently apply the knowledge and tools learned in the counseling sessions in order to live to the glory of God. In short, this is the desired goal of counseling, that one who comes in for help is now in the position to be able to help others in this process of discipleship. And this process is what Galatians 6 verses 1 through 5 describes. The second main reason is found on the other end of the spectrum, and that is when the counselee shows no sign of change and has no desire to change. Depending on the situation, this could even switch from a counseling issue to a church discipline issue, which is the least desired outcome of counseling, for this shows a complete rejection of the help offered and a rebellion against the truth of the Bible, which means that this person is most likely not a believer. Underneath these two broad categories are a number of other reasons, both positive and negative, for why counseling would end. And the resources from J. Adams will be helpful for you in understanding some of those other factors. When it comes to terms to define, you will see that there are no specific terms listed for you in the study guide that you will need to discuss. So stay focused on explaining the various elements of this question in terms of why counseling would end. Some good Bible passages that will help you answer this question include ones like Galatians 5 verses 22 through 23, which is the list of the fruit of the Spirit, which can be helpful for you to gauge the readiness of a counselee to move on from counseling. Matthew 22 verses 37 through 40 is a good passage to discuss, since it boils down the life of a believer into two general categories of loving God and loving your neighbor. Jesus' teaching here makes it clear that these two commands are so intertwined that you cannot do one without the other. The Apostle John tells us that to love God is to obey his commandments, and the vast majority of God's commands are directly linked to how we treat others. What this means is that in order to love God most, we must love others best. And in order to love others in the right way, we must love God above all else. You might also want to talk about Matthew 18 verses 15 through 17, which is the passage on church discipline, which is an unfortunate part of the counseling process, where the church is involved in seeking to win back a brother who is straying from the truth. When it comes to answering this question, a good outline for your answer would include things like this. First, list the various ways why counseling would come to an end, either positively in graduating the counselee back into the regular streams of discipleship within the church, or negatively terminating the counseling case due to the counselee no longer being engaged in the process. You should seek to include 2 or 3 examples under these categories of both negative and positive reasons for why counseling would end. It might also be good for you to discuss that there are times when the counseling case ends as a result of some mistake or failure on part of the counselor, so you might need to discuss this and what you would do in that situation as well. J. Adams has some really good material on that could help you. The second portion of your answer would be to describe each one of those reasons and explain how you would handle ending the case given the various reasons you provide.